Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eric Barassa here with the Fort Worth Guitar Academy. And today I want to talk a little bit about creativity. So there are three things that really have to do with our core values here at FWGA, and those are self-confidence, creativity, and self-discipline. And I want to talk about each of them, but today I'm only going to focus mostly on creativity. We value learning a lot, having a lot of knowledge, and working really hard, but we don't always seem to value creativity and the important role that that plays in our society, in our satisfaction as individuals, and our ultimate level of fulfillment. So there's this book I've been reading called Talent is Overrated. And the whole premise of the book is that we have this false idea that people are born with gifts. They're born with talent. They're born thinking creatively. And the research shows that creativity is something that can A, be learned by anybody, and two, even by people who seem to be naturally talented, it requires years and years of intense work and preparation to be able to have any kind of creative breakthrough. So one of the things that the book talks about is actually composers, musical composers, and painters, artists. And it says that no significant musical work was done by any of these composers in less than 10 years. There seemed to be about a 10-year period that they had to strive and work really, really hard and create lots of just average, mediocre things before they created something truly sublime. The greatest innovators in a wide range of fields, business, science, painting, and music, all have at least one characteristic in common. They spent many years in intense preparation before making any kind of creative breakthrough. So another example that they give is the Beatles. So we think of the Beatles as these prolific songwriters, and of course they were. Well, their first hit was Please Please Me. And if you listen to it, it's like, for the time, I mean, it's a great song, but it's kind of an average pop song for that time period. And they had already been together for like 5 years before that. So even with their first big hit, they really weren't breaking any new ground. It wasn't until a few years later in their what's called the Beatles' middle period that they created like Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was ranked by Rolling Stone magazine as the #1 album of all time. It took them a long time to get to that place, years of intense preparation and writing and collaborating together as artists. It's not like these guys were getting together for a couple of weekly rehearsals. I mean, these guys lived and breathed this. The point is this: creativity is something that has to be practiced. And even if you think you don't have a creative bone in your body, I promise you, you can develop creativity. It's deeply satisfying, and anybody can do it, but it takes time. I mean, I think back to my first song I ever wrote was just total garbage. and pretty much everything for the next 15 years. I didn't work with quite the same intensity as a lot of the prolific composers and songwriters. But it's only been just in the last few years that I feel like I've started to hit my stride as a songwriter. I feel a lot more confident, a lot more self-confident about my creativity because of the self-discipline that I have cultivated over the years to continually work on creativity. So that's kind of how at Fort Worth Guitar Academy, how creativity, self-confidence, and self-discipline are all interrelated. So another thing the book says is that the other thing we all think we know about creativity is that it can be inhibited by too much knowledge. But the research actually shows the opposite, that people who are performing at a peak level in music or anything in life have devoted countless hours and years of study. Even if you have that aha moment in a time of not thinking about it, there were hours and hours and years of preparation that led you to be in the place to be ready to have that moment of clarity. If you have the self-discipline to work on being creative, you're going to become more creative, and then you're going to feel more self-confident about the creative process. It says the aha moments grow out of hours of thought and study. And the idea of epiphany is a dreamer's paradise where people want to believe that things are easier than they are. Oh my gosh. So the idea that things are easier than they are, it's so easy for us to, or at least for me, to look at people who are doing amazing things and say like, oh, well, of course, it's easy for them. They're a genius. But the reality is, I kind of just want to play off the idea that I could probably achieve something similar if I was to follow that path and put in that much intense study. So I think for us, as a team at Fort Worth Guitar Academy, I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to foster creativity in our students by regularly having them create their own ideas, create their own songs, write their own music. And in doing so, that's going to require self-discipline, and it's going to help build their self-confidence as individuals. So I've rambled enough for today. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to get your 2 cents on what you think about creativity, the creative process, and what that's like. So I'm Eric with Fort Worth Guitar Academy, and I'll see you guys next time.